Impressionist and modern art as a category covers such a huge sweep of artists and styles, and our upcoming sale, which opens on the 23rd of June and closes on the 30th, encapsulates this rich diversity. By way of example, I'm going to take you through 7 of the highlights of our sale, starting with this landscape by Camille Pissarro. This was painted in 1872, just as the Impressionist movement was reaching its peak. What I love about it is how beautifully and succinctly it captures exactly what Impressionism was trying to do. You have this wonderful collection of broad brushstrokes denoting the crops. There are elements of the horizon line that are almost abstract, and the figures here actually comprise, on close inspection, just a few strokes of colour. So it is very clearly coming out of a recognisable and traditional landscape genre, but is unashamed in its move away from realism and its celebration of mood and atmosphere. From Pizarro onto one of his direct contemporaries, Degas. Degas is most celebrated for his indoor portraits of dancers, which is what we have here. He was afforded privileged access to the backstage of theatres and produced a body of work depicting dancers at rest, in practice, waiting in the wings, often foregrounding the unsavoury and gruelling conditions in which these young girls had to work. From the 19th century and into the 20th century, one of the shortest lived but perhaps most important movements of our category is Fauvism. We're lucky to have this 1907 example by Auguste Herbin. Herbin as an artist is fascinating. He covered such a huge range of painting genres within his career, but it is without doubt his Fauvist works which remain the most celebrated. Leaping forward now to the 1930s, we have this dramatic painting by Giorgio De Kirico. This was painted in 1938. By this time, De Kirico was a well-established and well-regarded artist. What I find particularly striking and interesting about De Kirico is his combination of elements both progressive and looking backwards. He was able to combine a cultural legacy of classical bucolia and Roman motifs with an execution that is distinctly avant-garde, building upon his immediate predecessors. He therefore produced a body of work that was utterly original and so distinctively De Kirico. Painted just a few years later, we have this wonderful still life by Georges Brack. This is painted in 1945, by which time Brack has moderated the harsher elements of Cubism. He synthesizes both abstraction and figuration and creates something that is far more personal. And a number of these still lifes that date to this period exist in museums around the world. Following on from the success of our Women Artists sale last month, I'm thrilled to be including this Dorothea Tanning in our June sale, dating to the 1950s. This particular painting has this very distinctive vertical format, and she only painted a very few select works in this format. In contrast to her more surrealist works of the 1930s, what we have here is a wonderful example of her later work imbued with atmosphere and romance. The final work that I want to touch upon is this dramatic, bold depiction of a bluebottle fly by Bernard Buffet. This dates to 1957. Buffet was hugely celebrated within his own lifetime, both as an artist and a celebrity, and the 1950s marks the peak of his career. Here we have something which is an archetypal Buffet. What distinguished him from his contemporaries was his focus on portraiture and still life, when the prevailing movement of the time was abstraction. From the 1872 landscape by Camille Pissarro onto the graphic depiction of a bluebottle fly by Bernard Buffet, we are thrilled to be covering the broad sweep of Impressionist and modern art in our upcoming sale.